That's right. We are back finally to a regular schedule, our Wednesday 1 p.m. podcast time. And I'm excited to finally get things back rolling after the good holiday weekend and then my time over in Austin, which I'll elaborate on here in a little bit. But to remind you guys, as always, we've got the podcast here at my gym in Dallas, Texas, Next Rep Fitness. So sorry if you hear some of those weights banging and clanging. It's just people trying to get to their goals. That's what we're trying to do over here. So what's been going on in my life? If you guys haven't been following on my Instagram, which that's usually my first form of my media outlet, if you will, I got the Myler Flex podcast or the Myler Flex Instagram page. I've got the Next Rep Instagram page. I've got Fit Keto Cowboy page. And now, since we got NACA, the National Athletic Keto Association page as well. So I'm busy trying to manage all four of these pages every single day. But let's see, if you guys had the opportunity, 2 weeks ago, I was in Austin. I got to spend 5 days down there. KetoCon was going on. It was a Friday through a Sunday event, and I got down there on a Wednesday and did a meet and greet deal, had the podcast set up over there for Goody Beats and his whole deal. It was crazy. At least probably about 300 people or so, all there to meet Goody, and it was a wild time. And I got to meet a lot of new people within the keto industry and fitness industry, so that was really cool. And then the next day I went to get a workout in with the Keto Hulk, Michael Wilcoxon. You guys may have been following my YouTube channel as well, Myler Flex and Podcast channel, and you may have seen this is the second time I've been in Austin working out with him. So we got a killer chest workout in that day. I was sore for the next 3 days with him. And then I went to On It, checked out On It, worked out there for a little bit. Let's see, then Thursday, if you guys didn't get a chance to hear this, I was on the Living Wild podcast, so go check that out. That's on Spotify and all that good stuff. Pretty much in there, they just want to learn a little bit more about myself, since I'm kind of new within all these people in the keto world, and I'm kind of like, you know, the rookie with everybody. So I'm just wanting to spread the word, and they contacted me, and I went out on there and they interviewed me about, you know, my past stuff that you guys have heard me talk about here on this podcast. And then let's see, Friday, that was KetoCon, and if you guys saw, Visionary Foods and we partnered up and collaborated and made the first keto post-workout cookie. And when I say a first keto, this is a real keto post-workout cookie. It's not a post-workout high-protein, no-fat cookie. I mean, this is a legit keto, meaning there's true fat, unlike the Bang energy drink that says it's keto and it's only got 2 grams of fat in it. It doesn't have all the other stuff in there, but it's not a real keto energy drink. So this is true 19 grams of fat, 19 grams of protein. It has MCT in it. It has 5 grams collagen in it. So it's erythritol free. It's sweetened by allulose and monk fruit. So if you guys really know the ingredients and understand that, you guys will be impressed. And it sold out the first day. It sold out. We had to hold like 3 of them, so that way we could cut those 3 for the next 2 days to give out for samples. But they sold out. I'm telling you guys, even if you're not keto, you can use this in a way within your own meal planning. And go to visionaryfoods.net and you can go ahead and order them there. Trust me, it tastes great. There's a reason why it sold out.
They're pretty delicious.
They are. They're awesome. They are awesome. And so, let's see. Unfortunately, oh man, this kills me. And you guys know I'm a Jeep guy. While I'm down there, my freaking head gasket blew in my damn Jeep. That happened Saturday night. And this is actually the guest that I have today, Barton Scott. I met him at this party, the Strong Coffee private party, and you guys know I've been promoting Strong for over a year. I love that product. And as I'm headed to that party, all of a sudden I learned that the head gasket to my Jeep freaking exploded, and I was like, oh, that was a damper into the weekend. But I had to stay positive, keep going, keep grooving, and that's what we did. And I ended up meeting Barton over there, which you got lucky, because I'm not because you got to meet me, but because where
I was like, where's this going?
where we met. This is the only way I'm going to remember your name, because we met in Austin next to Barton Springs, and so you were able to say, my name's Barton, just like Barton Springs. So
like right back there.
Yeah, for right there. So I'm always going to remember that.
For sure.
But anyways, let's see. Did that party. We ate at Foco de Chao Saturday night with a big group of like 50 people, and then Sunday went down to the last day of KetoCon. Had fun, did some more podcasts. If you guys missed them, I think I did like 9 podcasts in 2 days. And, they ranged anywhere from 8 minutes to 26 minutes, and they were just quick. I just wanted to get a lot of people on there so that way you guys could learn about some people or even some products as well. And so then I had to deal with driving back to Dallas, then driving back to Austin on Monday to get the Jeep towed back down, and then, it was a short week last week with 4th of July, so I really only got to train with my clients here one day last week. And like, see, now we're back to it. Now we are finally at a regular schedule. I'm back to my regular podcast time, and I'm excited. I kind of like being at this pace. I can get back to my normal routine, so that's good. All right. Well, that pretty much catches you up what's been going on in my life a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's break for a commercial.
Do you like fresh pressed juices? If so, check out Raw Roots Juices, spelled R-A Roots. They are located in Dallas, Texas, but can ship nationwide. So if you're looking for juice cleanse or a daily juice, use this code MylerFlex for 15% off.
All right. So it's time for this.
What the fitness?
So I found a couple cool little stories while I was looking around last night and this morning about, the reason why I have the What the Fitness segment is just kind of give you some odd, quirky little stories that are going on, or just interesting fitness stories. And there's this one in Washington. It's a new startup, and it's called WorkStrive. And what they do is they're taking these boutique gyms, these private boutique gyms, and they are putting tables in there. And it's a new place for people that go to like, what's these places called? Like Work Me or whatever. Like these places you can rent.
WeWork, yeah.
WeWork, yeah. And so they're basically taking that concept, since most of these boutique gyms are closed from 9 a.m. to 5, they're going in and renting that now and letting people work outside of these gyms. And this started in Washington. So like I said, from 9 to 5, you can go in there, rent a desk, and have internet access and all that good stuff. So yeah, definitely trying to combine as much as you can into that space. That's pretty good. And that's how I got started. I started with just small independent private personal training studios, and that's really the truth. I mean, sometimes I had a client here or there around noon, lunchtime something, but for the most part from 9 to 5 I was pretty free, so that would have been nice to rent it out for other purposes as well. And then the other thing that is coming up, that after I read the story, I was like, wow, I'm seeing this now, and they're calling them workout villages. And basically what it is, it's the same. So all these fitness companies are coming together, and kind of the same thing that you see with like restaurants. When you see one fast food restaurant open up, 10 of them open up right next to it. Well, that's what they're doing now. They're kind of calling them a workout village. So they've got, like, say there might be a Pilates studio, and then next door it's going to be a cycling studio, and then there's going to be a coffee shop right next to it. So the idea is, like, maybe 3 days a week you're going to do your Pilates, then 2 days a week you're going to do your cycling, and then after you're done with those classes, you're going to go to the coffee place and you're going to get some expensive coconut water or something like that in your coffee, and then after that you can go to the cryo and go get frozen and all that stuff for your after workout recovery. And
I just did that. Yeah.
Did you?
It's so cool. Awesome. Yeah, cool actually, or cold. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. I went with Logan Sneed, who's also in Austin, and we I think it's negative 180 or something. And they check your body temp before you go in. It's like 91 is skin temperature or something. and you come out and it's like 50.
Yeah.
And you've been in for 3 or 4 minutes. You know?
It's insane. So, in my growing up in college and the pros, we would get in an ice bath right after the workout or after a game. And so that would take a good 10, 15 minutes. You're in it. This is just like that, but 2 or 3 minutes. Right. And probably even a little bit colder too, to tell you the truth. But anyways, it was cool just reading that article, especially on my point of view with owning a gym. And it's interesting that now these gyms are trying to be creative like these restaurants are, and just being like, okay, if you open up here, we're going to open up right next to it, and let's just try and make this little environment of all this fitness area that people can hit throughout the week. So that was interesting that I saw. All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's get to it.
Beat of the week.
This week's Beat of the Week is Ed Sheeran, and it's called Cross Me.
Cool.
All right, that was Ed Sheeran, Cross Me. All right, so during the middle of that song, my tablet just decided to do an update. So we're going to have to wait a little bit before we go live on Instagram for this interview. But like you guys heard me earlier, I want to introduce Barton Scott. He is the owner of Upgraded Formulas. He is a chemist. He is a chemical engineer, chemist, and a nutritionist. And like I said, I met him in Austin, and it was really interesting. I got a kind of a snapshot of what the company is about, what the minerals, how the company works, and really the deficiencies in what people have. Like, we know we have deficiencies, and I think it's really people don't care about it too much, honestly. Like, they overlook it and they don't understand how important it is for your everyday life and your movements and your body and your functionality. And so I really want him to plug it at home on the importance of certain minerals that you guys might be deficient in, and how this company works, and why it's even more, why it absorbs in your body more than just something that you go buy at Target or anything like that. So I'm going to hand the mic over to Barton Scott right here.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. So you're right, so many people overlook these things and they focus on macros, maybe because macros are a little more tangible. You go, oh, well, I know that grass-fed beef has this macro per ounce or whatever, right? But what drives all of that, which is totally diet, free of any sort of diet. And so I mean that's really where the gold is. It's because whether you're paleo or carnivore or keto or vegan, any of these sort of and I say none of us are these things. I see a lot of dangerous, to step back for a second, I see a lot of dangerous self-identification with diet these days, which I know you don't do that, but understanding, first of all, that you're not your diet, just like you're not your religion. I see there's a lot of commonality today, and that's dogma is always something that we need to defy in any form, because it limits us. It limits us in what we're able to say yes to, say no to, and frankly, we need to be able to update our opinions and our stances and our actions, right, as new information presents itself. So just kind of upfront sort of thing to say. So, and then the other thing is that we really believe in testing. So yes, we sell supplements that are much different, that absorb much better than anything you're going to find at Whole Foods. That's not a question, that's provable, that's fact. And this is coming from the founder, so this the stuff I've put in the legwork, and it's been years. So the thing though that when people say, so what should I take? I say, well, what testing have you done? And they go, well, maybe I've done blood testing, or maybe no testing, or something, and none of that's really, an acceptable place to start from. You want to know where you're standing, which I think is something we connected on. You're like, yeah, of course. Like, you have that educational background, and you understand the value of not guessing with your health, but testing. So don't guess, but test is something I say. And then pick the right test. So a lot of tests are cost prohibitive. So I finally found one where it's in that sweet spot of best data available, which is using your hair, and then also price point. So there's so many tests out there that are so prohibitive from a price standpoint that people go, wait, so I'm actually just let me see if I get this straight. So you're telling me I need to pay all this money just to get the information before I can even change anything? And guys, if you're listening, we're here at a gym, so that's why occasionally you'll hear weights. I feel like if you just join, you're probably like, what's going on? Yeah, I thought this was a podcast. It is a podcast. We're here at Cody's gym. He has a huge gym here in Dallas. Also, I sweat anytime I walk from the car to like my house. So in the summer in Texas, so I'm obviously I'm going to be sweating throughout this podcast pretty profusely. I'll probably be dehydrated by the time we get done, actually. So anyway, back to that. So figure out where you stand with your health. So maybe you're taking something like upgraded magnesium, and maybe you don't need magnesium. I mean, granted, it's only like 2 out of 10 people don't, but figuring out that beforehand is valuable for a couple reasons. Of course, you're going to save money if you're only taking the things you need to take, and you're taking them in a form you absorb. The other part of it is that's way more crucial is, what if you're taking something that is driving out the other important things you need in your body? So let's say you're already high in calcium and you're taking calcium. Well, guess what? That's going to push out magnesium, that's going to push out sodium, potassium, and dysregulate that balance that your body has to have. So that's another thought. But the actual technology, if you want me to speak on that, is...
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sure. So, well, think of it as... as a high bar, like there's a certain threshold when you're high jumping that you have to get over to win the contest. To win that contest in the body, there's a bar you have to go under so that you can increase absorption by not having the minerals need to be digested through the digestive tract. So you go, well, what is that bar? That bar is about 100 nanometers. We figured that out pretty quickly, and then we went, okay, well, how do we get it under that bar? So that was my thought. And then how can you scale up from doing it just in a lab to a huge FDA inspected facility? So that's a whole nother thing. But basically, the size of your red blood cells are a certain size. The size of the minerals you're normally trying to absorb when you buy something on Amazon, which, well, granted now our stuff is sold there too, so I can't just say that. But when you buy a normal supplement anywhere, wherever that may be, it's in a form that, and this is true if it's chelated, which is bound by amino acids, which is still too big for your cell to absorb. So, or this is true for really anything out there that doesn't use this technology. Now, you'll still absorb about 20% of it, but good luck ever absorbing more than that. So what does that mean? Well, from a cost perspective, let's say you spent $30 on a supplement, and then you could have spent double that too on some supplements, right? You multiply that by 0.2, that's $6. That's how much value actually stayed in your body. So this is something that really frustrated me, and that I was like, well, that math is just unacceptable, and also just that efficiency is unacceptable. I've always been driven to optimize everything, even as a kid. So I remember this was very personal for me. I had been a wrestler, I'd been a football player, I had gone through chemical engineering. I probably, like a lot of people listening, because it's the tribe that follows you here on the show, is, you guys have all been go-getters your whole life, probably from a very early age. Maybe it was choice, maybe it was forced upon you, depending on your circumstance. But whatever it was, you've probably been going and going and going, and you have to actually address the thing that diet isn't going to be able to address for you, and that is, well, where is diet falling short? And no matter what diet you're eating, and this goes back to the personal story that I had and why we're here talking today, is the soil's depleted. A steak that you eat today has about half the iron it used to have in it, not 80 years ago or so. That's a big deal because, you hear this guy lifting in the background, we're all having to work harder in our life is what that, for that same thing that you're buying, whether it's steak or asparagus or whatever it is, your avocado, it's only as good as the soil it was grown in.
Yeah.
So when you understand that, which of course you do and a lot of your audience does, you go, all right, well, I understand the soil's got less in it, and yeah, we can do regenerative methods of farming and we can fix that over time, but I need a fix right now. I can't wait till I'm about to lose my job because my brain is not working, or, I can't get anyone to go out with me because I just gained 30 pounds because I don't have any chromium in my system, or, whatever it is. But minerals drive all of it because we're elemental beings that, remember that periodic chart from chemistry? We are that. Buildings are that, we are that, we're a mixture of elements, and that's what the hair test for. That's why we use it. And then we figure out where you stand, we do a consult, and then we go, all right, good news, you're gonna make it, but also, you have some things you can optimize, so nothing to be scared of, it's okay.
So one thing that people might be wondering, why a hair test versus blood?
Yeah, great question. Well, you can think of hair as another living tissue, just like skin, and it's really like a core sample, like when you in a tree or from the ground, and it shows this record. This record is 6 to 8 weeks long. Granted, some people do this test every month because they're obsessive and they're doing something like ultramarathons or something of that nature. But really, every 6 or 8 weeks, your hair is going to change, and with that, it's going to store this whole record, which is very similar to it's basically the constituents of your body. Everything that you've eaten, basically not that you've eaten, but that has been absorbed from what you've eaten, is stored there. So are you low in iron, are you low in manganese, are you low in vanadium, are you low in chromium, whatever it is, it's going to tell you really clearly. Now, blood is really, in some cases, a day's worth of data. It's how are you doing there? And then also, the real telltale thing with blood that's super interesting is because your body's blood pH has to be maintained so perfectly, which I know you know, but I'll just say it for anyone that doesn't know this. Your blood pH has to be maintained perfectly. So what does that mean? Well, that means your body will do absolutely anything to keep that blood right where it needs to be. Why? Because if it isn't, you die quickly. So what does that mean? That means the blood's not a great place to test because it's the last place to show what's going on. Yeah. So that's something, and this is obvious. This is something I talk about now, but it wasn't obvious to me. It wasn't always. I didn't know this, 7 years ago, and so with that, I'd done lots of other testing, and it's easy to suddenly start going to doctors, start spending so much money on testing, and just so much time, and so much frustration, and hey, read this book, and read that book, and then 6 months goes by, a year goes by, a year and a half goes by, and you're like, wow, I feel marginally better. I know a lot, and I'm not sure if I know the right things, and then maybe that sends you down the wrong direction. So what I've tried to do, what we are doing really well is we're simplifying this process for people to either get back on their feet and be able to wake back up again, because when you re-mineralize your body, it really it changes everything.
One thing that I do, I picked this up from Aubrey Marcus in his book Own the Day, and he talks about having a daily mineral cocktail. And so every day, because you're sleeping 5 to 8 hours without even a sip of water, so you already wake up dehydrated. And what most people do is they go grab coffee, dehydrate themselves again. And so what I picked up from that book is I start every day with 12 ounces of water, 3 grams, which is a little bit more than half a teaspoon of sea salt, and then a lemon wedge, and I just put a couple little drips of stevia in there, make it taste like a lemonade. But since I met you, you told me that the not that one, There was another one that you gave me that has the
Glucose support.
zinc, the glucose support. So you told me start putting that in when I'm fasting.
Yeah.
So I put that in that water as well. Just put 1 teaspoon of that in there. I started doing that on Sunday.
Awesome.
So like even with that, that's a blood glucose support with those 3 minerals. How, just a quick summary, so if people out there are listening and they're like, oh, I see something with my glucose, I'm trying to control it. How would zinc and chromium, and I forget what the other one is.
Vanadium.
Yeah, vanadium. How would that affect you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So whenever you have a bunch of sugar, I know some of your audience, if they are keto, they're like, what, sugar? Man, who does that? But they're, some of you still, and then of course, if you have a cheat day or refeed or something, whenever you, go ahead.
Well, would it still even affect, there's people that take artificial sweeteners and it still spikes their insulin up.
Exactly.
So it would still help with that.
It's a great point. It's a great point. And when you're fasting, there's still so many things that are interconnected with fasting that are great, but so many that we don't understand. What we do understand is that minerals are really necessary to support the way your body receives glucose and the way insulin operates. So for the relationship of insulin and blood sugar or blood glucose to operate effectively the way basically nature designed it, you have to have the key minerals that support that. And so that's already figured out. That's already figured out that we needed vanadium, we needed chromium, we needed zinc, and it was already in this ratio. This doctor had done a ton of research way back in the early 2000s. So I took the ratio and I just made it more absorbable. Made it absorbable completely without digestion, made it cell ready. So that means you don't have to take as much of any of our products. Like our magnesium, you could take 90 milligrams instead of 600, because your RDA for something like magnesium, for example, it's 400 milligrams. But if you take a normal supplement, you only absorb about 10% if you're like most. So that's 40 milligrams you actually absorbed. So when you think of that, you go, well, if I doubled that, that would be great. And it turns out you don't want to do a ton more than doubling what you're normally doing, at least for a little while. You want to stage it up because your body's not ready. As soon as you dump a ton of magnesium, if you actually absorb it, your body's going to have a detox reaction on a cellular level. So you do want to stage it up. So initially I had a much more concentrated magnesium product. We'll have more concentrated ones in the future, but what I realized in R&D and just helping, having people test is that the flavor, because everything's unflavored, so it absorbs better as well, and there's no preservatives, and it's natural. Because of that, people would just kind of balk at the taste. So yeah, dilute all our products, by the way. But going back to the vanadium, chromium, zinc, really it's whenever your body experiences a fluctuation in sugar intake, for example, and this could be sweeteners, anything that's going to spike insulin, your body's going to react in a way, and it needs to be able to, it's kind of like uploading skills to Alexa or something. It's like suddenly your body knows what to do when it receives this input, and it doesn't know what to do, or it can't, or it does know what to do because our bodies are innately intelligent, but it can't do it. It can't do it. So you have to give your body what it needs. I always say there's no getting around.
So would it be something that, like, say, somebody had a cheesecake or a brownie or something, and then they would take that right afterwards, it would help level everything out?
Yeah, it does. It's such a huge spike, but yeah, absolutely. I would take it before a cheat meal, certainly, because it's a real blow to your body. Your body starts excreting a massive amount of magnesium in some cases to balance as well, manganese. So as soon as you can get some of these key constituents that then balance the others and keep those in place, Now you're starting to balance this, what I call imagine a seesaw. Now imagine a multi-dimensional seesaw. And that's really what your body is on a cellular level.
Yeah, it's interesting about the magnesium because in regular, Western bodybuilding diets and that type of stuff, we really focus a lot on zinc, but when getting into keto about 7 years ago and then starting to coach it 6 years ago, one of the main things that you really emphasize for people to take at the beginning to keep their electrolytes up, electrolyte is sodium, potassium, magnesium. And so I'm telling my clients, okay, you've got to go supplement the magnesium because you're not getting it through these types of foods. But it's interesting what you said about how it might spike more as you're getting it, that type of stuff. So that's definitely interesting.
Hey guys, do me a big favor and go follow Myler Flex on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want more videos of the podcast or workout videos, follow the Myler Flexing Podcast on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Till next time, keep repping and flexing.